When we want to create a basic form, which is a basic user interface for any one particular table, we can go to the Create tab, and we've got a few different options. The option that we're using in this tutorial is the Form Wizard. So I'll click on Form Wizard, and then I can move around here through any of the different tables or queries that I've defined. Probably to start off with, we'll just base this particular form on a table. And this form is where we want to show off and allow the user to edit the different data that's in the members table. So I'm going to click on the table members, and then I can pick particular fields from the available fields list here by picking them one at a time, or I can take them all in one go by clicking on this double chevron button and move them all into the selected fields. Click on Next. It asks me a few different questions about how I might want my form laid out. The basic one there is columnar, which is fine, and it's the most obvious choice, so I'll click Next. And then it's asking me what the title is that I want in my form. It's just picking out the actual name of the table there. If I'm using an LNC naming convention, I can use FRM prefix, but if not, just use whatever the form is. So this might be just members. And do we want to open the form to view or enter information, or do we want to modify the form's design before we push out the final product? Usually we would modify the form's design. So I'm going to click on that option there and click Finish to get into the design view of this form. The basic form view lays out all of the different field names in different text boxes, and that allows the user to see the data but also edit the data if they need to. It also picks out different labels that it thinks it might be appropriate and puts them beside all the different text boxes. And then in the form header, they usually put in some type of label there as well. Each one of those different fields are editable in different ways. But let's just take a look at the overall view of the form, and then we can come back into design and tidy it up. So I'm clicking on the view there, and we can see this is a maximize view. Let me just minimize it there. That's what we're looking at the moment. Now we can see that to navigate through the different records in this particular table that this form is based on, we have a navigation bar at the bottom, and I can click forward or next record to go through the different members. I can click to go to the last record, and I can click on this new blank record to bring me into the end of the table and add in a new record, a new member record. In general, what I can see here on this form, I could tidy it up a little bit. For instance, I've still got some LNC naming prefixes here from the LNC naming convention, so I'd like to get rid of those from all of the different labels. Also, I've got some underscores here. Again, that's straight out of the field names of the database. Might be appropriate for sophisticated databases users, but it's not appropriate for end users. So I'd like to tidy up all of that. Another option here that I would like to get rid of, a lot of these forms, they often come in with record selectors, which have a place in datasheet view and possibly the datasheet view of tables, but in forms they don't really do anything. So I'd like to get rid of that record selector as well. So let me go back into the design view of this form, and to do that I need to go over to this view icon, drop down the drop down menu and click on the design option. Some of the different things I suggested there, well, we can tidy up the different labels, and this is just a case of clicking into the different labels and just editing the different fields. So let me just do that quickly. And I've edited those fields. Let's just take a look at what they look like. Yes, much tidier, much more readable for an end user. Also, I want to edit this label up at the top, so again I'm going to go into design view and just take out that FRM prefix. Now, looking at the different fields, again, not much to worry about here, but just one thing that might tidy it up slightly would be, I'm looking at the alignment of all these text fields. I can see that this is a number field. Just like the datasheet view of tables, generally number fields are aligned right, whereas text fields, short text fields and date fields, they're all aligned left. So I want to maybe make that a little bit more consistent. I'll probably select that particular text box there and just make the text align property, set it to left to match the others. And lastly, even though these are text fields and this is a number field, I could possibly just match up the length of those fields. It would make it look a lot more rectangular. It's a possibility. May not work or may not be suitable in all contexts, but I could do that. So I'm going to go back into the design view here. First of all, to manage the alignment of this text box, I'm just going to select it so I see the orange ribbon around it. And then you might have noticed a property sheet keeps on changing every time I select different objects here on my form. Whether that property sheet is up or not, it will depend whether you've got your property sheet icon clicked on or not. So if you don't have it clicked on, it's just up here in the ribbon in the design tab. It's beside add existing fields there. Click on property sheet. So I've got my text box selected, and I can see that what's selected here in the selection type. And then in the format tab, if I move down, there's a lot of different properties here, but you'll get used to where the different things are. I see text align. I can align that to left, and that will take care of that. If I look at in the view one there, that number box is aligned left. I also mentioned this record selector. I'd like to get rid of it. So that is based in the actual form property sheet. And the hardest thing about selecting the form property sheet is remembering how to do it. So I can select the detail part, but that doesn't give me it. I can select the form header part, but again, that's just a section. I want to select the whole form. And so where I do that is I select this little area here between the two rulers. I put my little marker in there, and now I can see that the selection type is form. I've selected the whole form now, and I can move down here in the format tab, and I can see again, it takes a little bit of getting used to where to find these, but I see a record selectors property there. It's set to yes at the moment. I want to select no for that, and let's just take a look, and it gets rid of my record selector. So the whole point of this is that we try and get a form that looks nice, looks tidy, is easy to read and easy to access, and is intuitive for a user to use. It's most likely that you want your form to resemble the other different types of windows that might come up for other different Windows programs as well. And also, if you've got any particular type of color scheme or branding in your company, it might be worthwhile to actually brand and color these forms based on that kind of color scheme. And again, just a pointer of where to do that. In on the design view, again, you've got your property sheet there, and in on your forms we can see plenty of different options here in the format tab, things like picture if you wanted to add a logo. And in on the different sections, I can change the actual colors of these different forms as well. So for instance, back color, I can change that, change all the different font faces, and so on and so forth. So that's a basic introduction to a basic form based on one table in Access 2013. Like if you found it useful, and share.